What if I told you that one simple trip to Walmart turned into a nightmare no parent could ever imagine? This isn't a movie. This isn't some urban legend whispered to scare kids into staying close to their parents. This is real, and it happened to an 8-year-old little girl named Cherish Perrywinkle, a child whose smile lit up every room, whose laugh was contagious, and whose story would become one of the most heartbreaking cases Florida has ever seen. Pause, somber background music begins. Tonight, we're diving into what happened that June night in 2013. A night that began as something innocent, a shopping trip, and ended with unthinkable tragedy. The beginning. Cherish was born on Christmas Eve, 2004, a true holiday gift to her mother, Rain Perrywinkle. Her name wasn't just beautiful, carried meaning. Rain wanted the world to truly cherish her daughter. She grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, a bubbly little girl with a big personality. She loved dress up, loved helping her younger sisters, and like any 8-year-old, she was curious about the world. But her family struggled. Rain was raising 3 little girls, mostly on her own. Money was tight, life wasn't easy, and that is what made them vulnerable to what would come next. The encounter. It was June 21st, 2013, a humid Florida evening. Rain took her daughters shopping. They needed clothes, but their budget was thin. That's when they met him, Donald James Smith. To Rain, he seemed harmless. An older man, gray hair, polite. He didn't look dangerous. He didn't look threatening. He struck up a conversation, said he had a Walmart gift card, that he wanted to help them. He told Rain he knew what it was like to struggle. He made it sound like kindness, like a blessing falling from the sky. But it wasn't kindness. It was a trap. The trap tightens. Donald convinced Rain to bring her daughters into his white van so they could all head to Walmart together. Now, some people might ask, why would she trust him? But that's the thing about manipulation. It doesn't look obvious in the moment. It doesn't scream danger until it's too late. For the next 2 hours, Donald Smith pushed a shopping cart beside them. He joked with the kids. He smiled. Other shoppers saw them. To everyone else, he looked like a family friend. Nothing seemed wrong. Nothing seemed unusual. But then came the moment that changed everything. The disappearance. Smith leaned toward Cherish. He suggested they grab some cheeseburgers from the McDonald's inside Walmart. Rain thought nothing of it. After all, he had been with them for hours. He had earned her trust. So when Cherish followed him, she thought it was fine. But the security cameras tell a different story. Instead of walking toward McDonald's, Donald Smith led Cherish straight out the Walmart doors. And that was the last time anyone saw Cherish alive. The nightmare begins. When Rain realized her daughter wasn't coming back, panic set in. She searched the aisles. She called her name, but Cherish was gone. Rain dialed 911. She begged for help, but something went terribly wrong. An Amber Alert wasn't issued until 5 long hours later. By then, it was too late. The next morning, police found Cherish's body in a creek behind a church. She had been brutally assaulted and strangled, community shattered, a mother broken, and questions that still haunt us today. How could this have been prevented? How was Donald Smith even free? To begin with, the man behind the monster, Donald James Smith, was no stranger to police. His criminal history stretched back decades. He was a registered sex offender. He had a pattern, and here's the part that chills people to the bone. He had been released from jail just 3 weeks before Cherish's murder. 3 weeks. And yet, there he was, walking freely into a Walmart, preying on a struggling mother's vulnerability, hunting for an opportunity, and finding it, the arrest and trial. The morning after Cherish was taken, police spotted his van on the highway. They arrested him without a fight. Years later, in 2018, his trial began. Jurors listened in horror as the evidence poured in. Surveillance footage, DNA, the heartbreaking 911 call from Rain herself. The courtroom was heavy. The grief, the anger, it was unbearable. But the jury didn't take long. After just 2 hours of deliberation, the verdict came back guilty on all counts. Donald James Smith was sentenced to death. And in 2021, Florida's Supreme Court upheld that sentence. The legacy of Cherish story. Cherish Perrywinkle's story is one of the most devastating reminders of how fragile trust can be. It shows us that predators don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look ordinary. Sometimes they smile. Sometimes they offer help. But behind the mask, danger waits. Cherish should still be here today, laughing with her sisters, blowing out birthday candles, living her life. Instead, her story is told as a warning, a reminder that life can change in an instant, and a plea to always protect the most vulnerable. Closing. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to Cherish story. It isn't easy to hear, but it matters, because Cherish was more than a headline. She was a daughter, a sister, a little girl with dreams. And tonight, by remembering her, we honor her. So please, hug your loved ones a little tighter, and never, ever forget the name, Cherish Perrywinkle. May she rest in peace.